Yo, what's good? I'm Bleak. This is my review of the Rising. So the way I played the game was on the normal difficulty. I upped the resources and the amount of resources you would get quite a bit. I've also decreased the amount of resources you need to craft items as well, so I could completely focus on gameplay, which I enjoyed, in my opinion, quite a bit. And so I just finished the game. I killed Dracula twice on two different, slightly different builds. The weapons that I used the most were the dual handguns, the slashers, and then the greatsword. The reason why I played the greatsword was because I got like an insane drop. It was like a legendary orange drop. So yeah, the game sold me on the greatsword. Um, the things that I like the most about the game is really the combat system. It really gives you a feel of like you have complete control over your character. The movement, the dashing, it all feels very fluent. The amount of builds you can play aren't as big as an ARPG, but you do have some choices you can make. And there is a lightning build where you basically arc lightning between monsters, and there's a necromancer build where you have basically minions that will fight for you, which is pretty OP in this game if you ask me. There's a complete leech build where you just leech the hell out of monsters, and there's two other builds that give weaken for your spell cooldowns, and a freeze build. The builds that I played was a combination of ignite, weaken, and then the weapon power. I would sometimes use the freeze counter. Mostly in the beginning I would use that, but then I would graduate to not using a counter unless it was like a very mechanically heavy boss. Talking about bosses, those were actually my favorite part of the game. There's a whole list of bosses that you have to go through. They basically, that is basically the progression of the game. You don't really go and uncover like caves or stuff like that. It's mostly just the bosses that you would fight. Most of the bosses, the open world bosses, the ones you would start with, they are okay. They're like a good introduction in how the game works. They have like those basic attacks, very easy to dodge, very easy to understand what's going on. And as you move through the game, the more mechanics they would add on to bosses, which is I like the progression quite a bit. So there's open world bosses, there's also arena bosses. Those are like the big boys. You get them once you reach a gear level of 80, 85, I thought. Yeah, something around that. Above 80. And those are really what makes the game shine, in my opinion. The arena bosses, they drop like a special amulet that just completely changes up your build. Gives you another ultimate ability. And as you can see here on the screen, you have like your basic attack of a weapon. Then you have two weapon skills, a dash that you can customize as well. And then you have two spells and one ultimate spell. Most spells have like a projectile that you would shoot out, and then a counter. So basically a shield that when something attacks you, you counter the damage basically. And then there's another skill based on the tree you would go. The skills themselves, they look pretty flashy. They're not too flashy. They're not too boring as well. Like some of them would say they are pretty basic, but like when you use them, they all feel well. All the skills that I've used, they feel pretty good. The aesthetics of the game, like the whole vampire thing, it's it actually grew on me. Like you can see me here building. I would always dread building in these type of games, in survival games, because you would start with like the basic stuff, like a workbench, and then you would upgrade it to smithy, and like those steps would always like, I don't know, I would not like them. So yeah, I would dread building in this game, like procrastinate constantly. But then once I started, like really get into it, it's really enjoyable. The amount of decorations that you have, the amount of different tiles and the ways that you can decorate your castle is pretty amazing. You can also go multi-level, and everything is based on a grid. So you will be building on a grid, like a pre-built grid. Which means that everything will look very, very clean. You can space out everything, you can count the tiles that you need, and you can do a very symmetrical build if you want to. And what else is there? The day and night cycle, I gotta say, is pretty interesting. So during the night, you're pretty good. Can do whatever you want, but during the day you have like the sun shining down on you, and the way you move around basically is through shadows. So anything that has a shadow, you stand in it and you're basically safe from the sun. This is okay as you're like going through the map, exploring, like checking things out. But once you start fighting those open world bosses, they can get a bit tricky, to be honest. Some of them, they just shoot out beams all over the place, destroying everything in its path, leaving you no shadows at all. So yeah, sometimes you gotta be very careful when you approach one of these bosses. Like I said, my favorite bosses were probably the bosses that have their own arena. They were like fleshed out a lot more. They had way more mechanics as well. And I did not have a build that would just completely shit on everything. Like I would actually have to go through the mechanics. What I did notice at the end with Dracula, the very end boss you'll kill to end the game and basically get the strongest gear in the game. With him, I played like a combination of Ignite and Bleed, so I would drain and Ignite basically to try and heal myself up with the ignition from a passive, and that was a fucking hassle. But then I switched over to a Necromancer build and I just completely shit on the guys. So yeah, there are differences in builds, differences in gameplay, and I gotta say I'll probably go back into this game, trying the hardest mode. I will definitely do updates. Everything that will get every time there will be an update. I'll probably, well, I will definitely be back. What I want to see actually in the future for this game is just way more bosses. Way more bosses, more fleshed out mechanics. And I say this having played from normal, like maybe on the hardest difficulties. What I suspected when I played is that they would just increase the health and the damage so you get one shot. And because I was a bit skeptical about the camera in the beginning, I did not want to deal with those things. Because the camera movement was something that was probably the hardest for me to get used to. Especially when there's a lot going on, you're moving, dodging, and you gotta keep your camera in the right way so you can see whatever the boss is doing. But once I got used to it, I gotta say it's very fluent, very intuitive, and the battle system is just something that is just very good. I enjoy it a lot. And there's systems with blood, so you are a vampire obviously. And you have this, like you see there, you can drink blood of anything and they will give you a boost. basically just passive buffs. I gotta say that's a nice touch on it. So you also will have these alpha NPCs, I guess you would call them, and then they basically are the same as in Ark Survival or in PAL. They have like a special red shine to them. That basically means that their buff is 100%. You will get all the buffs and an increased bonus on that buff. So looking out for those is pretty fun when you come across one of them. When you accidentally kill them, however, that's yeah, that shit hurts. That shit hurts a lot. There's also a prison system where you can basically upgrade these types of NPCs that will give you those buffs. I didn't really get much into it until I basically needed a prisoner to make a necklace to be able to fight Dracula, the end boss. And I kind of regret it. I could have done so many good things with the prison, I guess. Yeah, in my next playthrough I'll definitely get into all that. Here you can see me fight a boss. It's one of the open world bosses that has their own arena. And yeah, you'll see, like, get as much damage out as possible. So with the counter, I gotta say, you are pretty strong. Like, the cooldown on it, you can get it to, I think, 5 seconds I had it in the end game. So you can just spam the hell out of it. And if you use the counter of the leech tree, then yeah, every time you counter, you successfully counter, you basically get some health back. Yeah, just looking back at the game, one thing I gotta say is, yeah, I want more. I felt like I did not have enough when I killed Dracula. I felt sad. I felt really sad. I was thinking of like finishing up my castle, like decorating it to the complete max, but yeah, there's no real use for that in the end. Oh, one thing about the building that I would change is that every item, material, like every resource has its own tag, and every resource has like its own storage box. So you would have everything neatly stored everywhere in its own separate rooms with its own buffs to the crafting stuff and all that. And one thing that I did find annoying was, it's like, you want to start building, you gotta get all the materials in your inventory first, and then you can start building. I guess it's not like in PAL where you could just make anything out of the storage boxes, out of the refinings. Like, you did not have to have anything on you. All you had to do in PAL World was be in your base, have these resources inside your base, and yeah, you could craft. Now, you could say in this game there's no weight limit, so you can carry as much as you want. You're basically blocked behind inventory slots. Oh, I'm dead. And yeah, as you progress, you basically unlock a bag that will increase your inventory slots. But yeah, you can make it so you can carry a shit ton of resources in this game, which makes it okay. If there was weight in this game and you had to carry all that shit on you to build, then yeah, that would have been a big blow to the game, in my opinion. But because there's no weight, you can carry everything on you. So yeah, that's not such a big deal. But I do wish they hope in the future that they will let you build from outside, from inside your base, with all the resources and materials not being in your inventory, but in their like respective storage boxes. Another thing I want to talk about was the open world activities. Like, they're called rifts, just like Diablo, and they are pretty cool because the RNG in the boss that you get once you completed one of the rifts. So you would come across all the bosses and it would be scaled up to the rifts level. And yeah, that was pretty cool. They're also very, very rewarding. You can get those special weapons that have multiple effects on them, making your builds, allowing you to basically have more than one skill tree going. So you can basically ignite, chill, bleed, and use static all in the same build. I don't think it's very profitable, but yeah, you can. Well, what I'm trying to say is you can have more than one tree in your build, basically, which makes it very interesting. And then again, with the endgame necklaces, you get like a whole new ultimate, a whole new passive that interacts completely differently or similar than what you already have with your build, and yeah, it's pretty fun. Another thing I would like to have in this game is obviously crossplay. I do have some friends that prefer to play on PS5. Unless they change to PC soon, and I don't give a fuck anymore. So yeah, for me this game was a true gem. Looking at this video, I can't believe it's over. I really hope they add more to it. They keep updating, adding more skill trees, adding more builds, more bosses, more mechanics. I'll definitely will try a playthrough through the hardest mode to see what's different. I'm not sure when I'll be doing that. I'll probably will, well, maybe when there's like an update or something. Another thing you could do in this game is like said, like the open world events. Like right now they have rifts. I wish there was more of that, but like in different ways. I'm not really sure what kind of event I want, but yeah, I just want more of it. That's all I can say. So yeah, if you enjoy survival games, enjoy action RPGs where you have to be like mindful when you attack, when you use skills, then this game is definitely something for you. Like I said, I'm so sad this game is done for me. I wish I could go back and replay it, to be honest. We'd spend a bit more time in building. If you want to see me make a video about the castle I came up with, the rooms that I made, how I use the decoration, let me know in a comment. But yeah, if you feel like this game attracts you, has some type of attraction, and you're still on the fence on whether to buy it or not, I would say give it a shot. 100% give it a shot. It starts a bit slow, but once you reach, what would I say? Once you reach the weapons that have the multiple effects on them, that's when things really start to get fun. So yeah, again, you enjoy these type of games, you enjoy survival games, you enjoy action RPG games, and this is definitely a must try. It's not a $70 or €70 game, it's 40 bucks, I think, 30 bucks. So yeah, it's definitely worth a try. Again, I hope they come out with DLCs sooner, better. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the game, what kind of builds you played. Yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.